Oh, we're live already. Look at us go. Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. Just let me get a few bits and pieces squared away here. There we go. Wasn't expecting it to go live so fast. Look at that. We almost look a little bit professional today. We got ourselves a little ring cam and ring light, and everything. So, now that we're all situated, welcome back to the channel. This is MUFC versus everybody. I'm Sean, your host. Appreciate you guys being here and joining us this morning. As you guys are here every morning, I do enjoy seeing the viewers, seeing the likes, seeing the views, and the comments as well. I really do appreciate it. Obviously, we've got our Sheffield United match later on this afternoon, so hopefully everybody will be watching that and enjoying that and supporting the club from wherever you guys are. I'll be doing that from the comfort of my own home today. We've got a lot going on, so I'll have to stick close to home base. But obviously, I will be back after the match with my kind of immediate reaction. Hopefully not too caught up in our feelings today. Hopefully we should be able to at least kick on from, yes, the disgraceful, embarrassing, lethargic performance against Coventry, but we're in a final and we're in a home stretch. We need points. The players know better. And I'd like to see how we do today. I'd like to see a couple of younger players, a couple of fringe players maybe get a shot today. So we touched upon that a little bit in the preview. We'll touch upon it a little bit more today because obviously between yesterday and now, Ten Hag has had that press conference with a couple of bits of team news and comments coming out. So we'll touch upon that. Before we get started, though, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. And don't forget to go check us out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. So why don't we get stuck in? So big up to the under 18s, first and foremost, who did win the Premier League Cup yesterday, which means that they've sealed the double for the under 18 league. And that's a big achievement. I mean, I like the way our youth look right now. We've got a lot of really good players coming through the academy. A lot of them just on that cusp of getting some first team minutes. We've seen a lot of them get first team training, and then we've seen a few of them travel with the first team and feature even on the bench, obviously, in recent weeks. And a lot of them are kind of tipped to just be right around that corner of breaking in. They're still very young, but I like what I'm seeing. We have a really good generation of young talent coming through. So they did beat Man City's under 18s 2-1 yesterday. Ethan Wheatley grabbed 2 goals, and he looks really good. If you got a chance to watch any of the highlights or maybe watch the game. I don't watch the game live because you have to have an MUTV subscription, and I don't like to give the club too much of my money if possible. You guys do what you want to do. No judgment here, right? But Ethan Wheatley did look good. On a related note, it's reported that Erik ten Hag wanted to make sure that Wheatley, Harry Amas, and Lewis Jackson could take part in the cup game yesterday, but also while keeping them fresh in the first team squad for Sheffield United match. So some of those players were subbed at halftime. Some of them came on later on in the match, like Shea Lacey. So there's one thing you cannot criticize Erik ten Hag for, is that he is not working with the youth. Obviously, we also know that he is working very closely with the academy and the U18 coaches and the directors at that level to implement a culture and a style of play at a young age, similar to how Ajax did. When you go through Ajax's academy, you are brought up the Ajax total football way from day one all the way to the first team. And I think Ten Hag is trying to implement that so we can have a continual kind of smooth transition. And it's good to see. I like to see that from Ten Hag. Obviously, he knows the importance. I think Ten Hag really gets a lot out of working with younger players that he can develop. And kind of help progress in that style. And so I do like to see that. So it shows that he's balancing the priorities, but he recognizes the importance of that cup game last night to the under 18 players. It's a big achievement for them, and I think he wanted to make sure that they were able to do that. So big up Ten Hag. The Ten Hag out crowd will still find a way to beat him with that stick somehow. I don't know how they're going to twist it. I don't know how Samuel Luckhurst will twist it, because we all know Samuel Luckhurst likes to twist a lot of words. But it's a good achievement nonetheless. Before I say, another piece of information came out this morning that I want to start with before I get started with what I originally wanted to start with. And that is, guys, Are you sitting down? Oh, wait. You good? All right. We have a Tyrell Malacia sighting. He has put out some footage today of him training in the gym. He's back on the road to recovery. I think this is the first time we've seen him in almost a year, and that's a big deal. It's good to see him recovering, good to see him with a smile on his face. I know that can be the hardest thing to want to wear after such a bad injury and such a long road to recovery. I mean, football is his life, and he's missing out on a year of it, and that could delay things as well. So it's good to see him back. It's good to see a smile on his face, and I think that could also kick on and have a kind of a spillover effect to the rest of the team. I think that could be good for morale too, for them to see him and for him to kind of be there and supporting them as well. So big up Tyrell Malacia, and it's good to see you back, man. So kicking on with the roundup, let's start with a bit of a continuation from the last roundup from yesterday, following some of that fallout after our FA Cup semifinal victory over Coventry City and the shootout that we had to drag it out to. So if you remember, Anthony received a bit of flack, and rightfully so, for cupping his ears at the Coventry players when Hoyland scored that winning pen. So I won't go as far as some other people and call Anthony classless or an idiot or whatever people are saying. Like, I'm not going to go that far. I did think it was cringe, like I said yesterday. I did think it was necessary. I think it was unprofessional, to say the least. And it's just one of those things, like, just keep your powder dry, man. Especially given our performance, our second half collapse, and the fact that Anthony himself didn't really do much to have any need to do that, right? So Anthony's released a statement yesterday, kind of explaining his celebration. And he said, Coventry proved why they reached the semifinal. We seek this spot in the final for our fans, and we achieved. The way our fans were treated by their player was not nice, and I, in the heat of the moment, I've reacted to the provocations in a natural defense of my club. So if you remember, I think it was Haji Wright who was cupping his ears at everybody, and obviously Anthony responded in kind. It's a little bit of an apology sandwich, right, from Anthony. Kind of starts out by pointing out the Coventry player doing the ear cup, and then he says he reacted in the heat of the moment, so kind of taking a little bit of responsibility for reacting. And it's one thing I always point out to people when I work with them or just in general. There's a difference between reacting and responding. I'll let you figure out which is which. But then Anthony kind of excuses his reaction again with saying he was provoked and he was defending his club. So it's like, immediately the first thing that comes to my mind is, what's that old saying? Two wrongs don't make a right. Right? You don't want to, doesn't matter if you're provoked, especially if you think that what someone else did was unnecessary. You don't have to react to it and stoop to that same level. Just let that person get the headlines for doing it. Remember, and this is the thing, you want to, it's easy in the heat of the moment to want to react and want to celebrate. I think that sometimes you can do it too soon. We've seen, Christian Romero do it against us once. I think they scored a Spurs match, and then they ended up losing. There's just a famous photo of him screaming in the face of Harry Maguire, and then at the end of the match, full time, he's like sitting on the ground. Same with Neil Maupay when he was at Brighton, did the same thing. You just, in sports in general, it's best maybe just to keep your powder dry till it's all done and dusted. But of course, if it were any other club, we wouldn't get anywhere near the coverage it has. I think that the media loves to just squeeze every drop they can out of any United-related news. And I think, we saw the other day, they drug up some situation that occurred with Hoyland and Dalot and Bruno that occurred months and months and months ago. But coming off the back of a victory, we've got to find something. We'll dig up something from the archives, right, and use it as a stick to be united with. So hated, adored, never ignored, right? So it's expected. On a related note, apparently Eric Ten Hag has no time for the press. He came out swinging in that press conference yesterday ahead of our maps tonight. And you could tell he was ready to drop bombs. From the moment he walked in, from his first words, he was ready to just take names, man. He was, his first words, right? All the press greeted him with good morning. His first words were good afternoon. Not too many sharp people in here, because I guess it was not quite noon yet. So a little prickly, but you could tell my man is just not having it anymore. He's done. Again, it's one of those things where you wonder, coming from Ajax to the Premier League and to United, if he was quite ready or at least if he was quite aware of just what he was walking into in more ways than one, right? He was asked if he thought the response to United's FA Cup semifinal victory was fair, to which he replied, no, absolutely not. He went on to turn the question around, saying the reaction from you, the press, was embarrassing. It is the comments. Top football is about results. We made it to a final, and we deserved it, not only by this game, but also by the other games. We lost control for 20 minutes. We also had bad luck, 3-2, 3-3. We were very lucky in the end, clear. Penalties was very good, and we made it to the final. Right? It's one of the only clubs in the world where you're going to get criticized for making it to a final. He continues, Ten Hag, it is a huge achievement. Twice in 2 years is magnificent. For me as a manager, 4 cup finals in 4 years, the comments are a disgrace. 4 cup finals for Ajax. To an extent, I agree with Ten Hag, and I expect any manager to defend himself and his players in these moments, when just it's a constant barrage of just negativity and spin and just subjectivity and out of context selective journalism, which I have a huge problem with. The press are clearly biased when it comes to United. I'm not going to sit here and put out this like, oh, everyone's against us, but we can see the press are biased. If you read anything on ESPN or watch ESPN FC for more than 5 minutes, it won't take you long to realize that they do not like United. Samuel Luckhurst got booted and called out of press conferences for writing crap. And clearly now everything he writes about United is negative and selective. He just did something this morning trying to correct Ten Hag, saying, it was last words in the press conference where, haven't been in an FA Cup final in 2 years. Well, that's not what Ten Hag said. He said in the last decade, we haven't made it back-to-back FA Cup finals. So you could tell, this is how you spot an agenda. So just context is key. Like I said, it's not just about what you're reading. Don't just look at headlines. Don't just look at tweets. Read an article, follow the sources. But then also you need to look at who is writing it and look at their history with the subject with which they're writing. Samuel Luckhurst has a touchy history with United. It stands to reason he's going to have some touchy opinions on United, especially Ten Hag, since under Ten Hag is when he was called out for it. So, I mean, again, the press are biased. They're relentless. They've been on Ten Hag since before he even officially took his role at United. His credentials have constantly been questioned. Hell, Simon Jordan had a go at him last season with the way he was dressed, talking about how his suit fit. Like, it's just embarrassing, the kind of things that, some of these guys say. And we know it's what you expect at United. There's constantly under a microscope. You live in a fishbowl, and it's the biggest club in the world. Everything is going to be scrutinized and combed over and rehashed time and time again. Now, I don't think some of Ten Hag's comments or some of his explanations for our performances and results have helped him in some cases. But again, like we say, a lot of what managers say in press conferences, especially after results, needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Because I've seen people come out and say he's delusional. How could he defend that performance? I guarantee you, behind closed doors, to his players, to his staff, he's not anywhere what he's putting off in press conferences. Of course he's mad. Of course he's upset. Of course he's going to be critical. Of course there are going to be consequences and ramifications. But he's got to say something to the media. You can't sit there and call him a bully or call out Mourinho for throwing players under the bus when he's critical, but then say Ten Hag is delusional. You can't have it both ways. And so you take what you get, and then we move on. I don't know why people put so much into the press conference comments. I do think a lot of this, anyway, is down, like I've said before, down to just his personality, Ten Hag. He's blunt. He's a bit matter of fact, especially in his delivery. And I think that there's people who are trying to read too much into it. I don't need a manager who's good on camera. I don't need a manager who's good at ad-libbing and improv. I need someone who delivers. And so far, last season, Ten Hag delivered. This season, it's been a struggle, but we are in another cup final. Hopefully we can get into Europe, but we'll see. So let's move on a little bit. Finally, maybe we can move on from Sunday's match. Still Wednesday, right? And we're talking about Sunday. Give Me Sport. Another kind of sports related site. I actually wrote a little piece for Give Me Sport a long time ago. This would have been probably 10 years ago. I wrote a little piece on Marwan Fellaini a while back, if you remember that guy. I think he retired this year. Man, big up Fellaini. He got a lot of stick, but people forget how influential and how crucial he was for us in a lot of our cup runs when Jose Mourinho came in. And I dare you to find me any other player with better chest control than Fellaini had, by the way. So Give Me Sport is reporting that Johnny Evans has been tipped for a future coaching role at United. The statement said that he kind of exudes calmness, football knowledge, and experience. Obviously, he's very experienced. And this has all been noticed by senior figures at United. Remember, the 36-year-old joined us this summer after he was a free agent from Leicester. Leicester let him go. But he hasn't put a foot wrong when called upon. I'll hold my hands up and say when we brought in Evans instead of someone like Pavard or Kim Min-jae, who we were heavily linked with, we saw Kim Min-jae go to Bayern, Pavard go to Inter. It was frustrating, and I'm sure that it was frustrating for Ten Hag as well. Obviously, Johnny Evans came and trained with us in the summer. He put in a good show, and obviously Ten Hag and his staff thought he could do it, so we got him for free. And he hasn't put a foot wrong, in my opinion. I've not seen him make a single major mistake this season. He shows leadership, control. He reads the game well because of his experience. He's been out for a few weeks with a muscle issue. I do hope we'll see him back on the pitch soon, before the end of the season for sure. I would love it if he were available today. I think we do need him with all the injuries we have. But we'll see. Big up Johnny Evans, and I think he could make a good coach in the future. I think he has that experience in reading of the game. I do like what I see from him. So in a little bit of team news, again, coming back to the press conference, Ten Hag did say that Garnacho does look likely to feature after being taken. He said he was taken off as a precaution against Coventry. They want to keep him fresh. He did add, though, Ten Hag, that McTominay is a doubt after the midfielder felt something in his groin at the weekend. And then he said Rashford is also a doubt. So potentially no Rashford, potentially no McTominay. I think this could be an opportunity to put Ahmad on either on the wing or maybe as a number 10, because our midfield options are a bit skint right now too. So it's going to be interesting to see. Ten Hag did say we might need to get a bit creative, and some players might be played out of position. So we will see what happens, but it's not looking great for us right now. We got skeleton crew going on. On Ten Hag, though, too, journalist Mark Ogden reported this morning that Ten Hag, if we do miss out on Champions League this season, which looks likely, almost looks nailed on, right? Ten Hag is going to face a 25% pay cut for failing to qualify. So we've seen this before with like players and their wages, and then we've also seen similar clauses written into like Adidas, in their shirt deal with us. Miss out on Champions League for a certain amount, we lose a certain amount of years, we lose some of that money that we're owed. So it makes sense that the manager is going to have a similar clause in his contract. So 25% is a big deal. If you're making 100K a year and then suddenly it drops down to 75K, that's a big chunk of your wage right now, man. That's insane. We have a little bit of news on regarding Dan Ashworth. United and Newcastle are still locked in negotiations for a fee to kind of bring his gardening leave to an end early and let him get started working at Old Trafford. Reportedly, though, talks are not going well. So James Ducker, The Telegraph, is writing that United and Newcastle are 13 million pounds apart in their valuation in this deal. Apparently, Newcastle want 15 million plus a further 5 million in add-ons, while United are holding strong at 2 million. That's a big difference. Player sagas are so 2023 right now. We get sporting director sagas. It's insane. It doesn't look like we'll get Ashworth in time for the summer window in any case. And in fact, Ducker continues and says that Jason Wilcox is expected to lead United's transfer business this summer, assisted by Omar Barada. So we're in good hands still. Again, like I said a couple weeks ago, it would have been nice to get this deal wrapped up sooner so we can get the guy in charge. So evidently, Ducker is adding finally to this that United think that extra 10 million for Ashworth will be better spent on players, and we are prepared to wait until 2025 when Ashworth's gardening leave ends. I think that, to me, that sentence on its face is a bit ridiculous. I would because I would disagree. I would say that paying the 10 million, or you could probably maybe get to like 7, 8 million, um, would be well worth the price now, because he could easily, with negotiations, Ashworth could easily save you 2 to 3 times that much in negotiations or identifying alternate players to like superstars. I think that that's well worth the cost. I don't. It's not my money though, so it is what it is. I think the recruitment structure. We can't go on and on about saying how poor our recruitment structure has been and even non-existent, and then try to cut corners and cheap out when it comes to building it. We say we want best in class. This is how much best in class costs. Yes, Newcastle are holding out for a lot of money. I think that that's a little bit insane on their end, but at the same time, they don't need to. No, it's what makes it interesting is they're still paying him. So it's like, wouldn't you rather not? But they want to be compensated. Fair enough. It is what it is. And I think we'll get it done. I don't know if it's going to be done soon enough. Obviously, Newcastle are trying to drag this out, so we maybe miss out on the summer with him, but we'll see how that goes. Let's switch things up a little bit and move on to some transfer talk. Let me get some coffee first. So United Muppeteers are reporting that United have been scouting Girona left back Miguel Gutierrez. Now, we have been linked with him in the last several months, and remember, I touched upon him in my left back video. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. We talk a lot of left backs. Melvin Bard, Bjorn Meyer, Leif Davis, and then obviously Miguel Gutierrez, who we are linked with. Go check it out. So the 22-year-old Spaniard is reportedly, he wants to play in the Premier League, and we need a quality left back, right? Sounds like a match made in heaven. He does have a release clause. I think it's like 30-something million. Don't quote me on that. And United are prepared to pay, but we'll, of course, try to get him for less than that. Left backs, you don't often see too many of them go for very expensive, and there aren't too many left backs in football right now that I think would be really expensive. I think maybe last year, Alphonso Davies would have cost a lot. He'll still cost a lot, but not as much as he would have cost last year. He didn't look great when I watched Alphonso Davies. I would pay a lot for DeMarco at Inter, for sure. Other than that, I can't think of a whole lot. If you guys can think of a whole lot of other left backs that would be expensive, let me know who you would pick. So apparently, the deal can get a little complicated. Obviously, like I said in my last video about left backs, Girona are part of the City Group, so that could be a complication. And then apparently, so he came from Real Madrid a couple of seasons ago, and Real Madrid inserted a buyback clause when he moved, when they sold him. So that could be complicated as well. Madrid might be looking for a new left back soon. Ferland Mendy's 29 or so, and they have another youngster, but Florentino Perez always wants something new and shiny, and they have been linked with Alphonso Davies. So we'll see what happens. I do like Gutierrez. He's a good player, and I do think we need help in our left back department. It's anyone's guess what that's going to look like. I saw a video from AJ Analysis, I think the channel is, talking about whether Ten Hag could be moving us towards a 3 at the back with wing backs, with how many fullbacks we've been linked with over the last several months. I'm not saying that I 100% believe that, but it is an interesting concept to think about. The video is really good. Go check out AJ Analysis if you get a chance. In other news, French journalist Sebastien Denis is reporting that we've been monitoring, Red Bull Leipzig centerback Castello Lucaba. The 21-year-old French defender, a French centerback at RB Leipzig? No way. Yeah, way. He has a release clause of £60 million that will activate in 2025. So no release clause yet. So probably going to be expensive. And apparently Leipzig aren't interested in selling him right now. I mean, why would they? They are pretty much kind of a selling club in that regard, similar to Dortmund. They buy players. They come through the Red Bull group. They flip them for a profit. We've seen a lot of defenders, a lot of players come through Leipzig. So not a surprise there. So you take a look at Lucaba. Looks like a good modern defender. Physical, he's young, he's fast. He can pass the ball. He can carry it when he needed. He's good. Got good ball progression numbers. He's good on the ball. He's got good interception numbers as well. He can read the game well to break up plays. So good defender, good young defender. It's one of those things. Do we need someone with experience, maybe like a Tadibo or a Bremer? Do we want someone younger that we can kind of, that has that energy and has that physicality and that longevity that Ten Hag can also mold, like we've seen him do with like players like De Ligt, or even Lissandro. Remember, Lissandro wasn't that old when we bought him. He was what, 24, 25, and when he was at Leipzig, he was in his early 20s. So we'll see. I do think Ten Hag excels when he's got younger players, and then he can kind of top off the squad with some experience, like he did with Casemiro, Eriksen. Obviously, we've been linked with Rabiot. I think Rabiot would be a great signing for free, or someone like Wilfred Ndidi would be a great signing for free. Players like those who can kind of round out. Like Ten Hag's also shown he can do wonders with those players as well. He brought Daley Blind back to Ajax, had him playing left back and doing really well. Laza Shone was key in their Champions League run in 2018, 2019. And so don't sleep on something like that. And we saw what Ten Hag did with Sebastian Haller in Champions League 2 seasons ago. I mean, he had that guy running things in the Champions League. So interesting, it's just we're going to see a lot of links, especially with center backs going into the summer. A lot of possibilities, a lot out there. I think that we need almost a complete rebuild in some ways for our back line. We're probably going to need 2 center backs, honestly, but we'll see what happens. We got some news also regarding a current United player possibly leaving in the summer. So Hannibal Mejbri is currently on loan at Sevilla. He's reportedly a summer target for Feyenoord, according to MUFC MPB on Twitter. So his loan spell at Sevilla ends in June. It hasn't been the best loan spell. Obviously, he came in and then he was kind of out of the picture. There were some comments from Sevilla's, I think it was manager or their CEO or somebody, about his attitude, saying like he needs to know what it means to be here, show that kind of attitude, and then we can bring him back in. So obviously we know Mejbri has the physicality, he's got the energy. He needs to focus that a little bit more and hone it in. And I think a move to someplace like Feyenoord would be good for him and his career, because a year in Dutch football where you're learning a little bit more of that tactical side of things, I think that could be good for him. But we'll see. He's entering the final year of his United contract this summer, so he's got 1 year left. So it's kind of up to our recruitment in Ten Hag. Is this somebody that we see in the future? If not, let's get something for him now. He's an academy product, so a lot of it's profit anyway. And it could be good for him if he's not going to get time at United. So finally, let's all take a moment to congratulate Diogo Dalot for reaching 150 matches for United. The semifinal at the weekend was Dalot's 150th appearance since he joined us from FC Porto in 2018. Remember that? Mourinho bought him. He was pretty much injured when we got it. We didn't see him for a while. And then he's kind of been in and out of the side for a couple of years. He went on loan at AC Milan. We played against them in Europe. This year, though, no one can argue that Dalot has taken a major step forward in terms of his development and his all-around play. We know he gets up and down the pitch. We know he's got good footwork. His crossing still needs work, in my opinion, but we've seen his defensive qualities really, really, really take a step forward this season. The dude hit level 16, learned quick attack, right? If you know, you know. Anyway, big up Diogo for 150 appearances. That's huge. I like our right back depth right now. I think Dalot and Wan-Bissaka are fine. I think next year, or if we get, like I said, a massive offer for Wan-Bissaka this summer, we can look to do that. It wouldn't be my priority though, because if we sell Wan-Bissaka, we've got to get another right back. So keep them both for another year, and then next year, let's look at maybe moving on Wan-Bissaka and bringing in someone for some depth. Hopefully, maybe we'll have another academy player coming through the ranks by then. But that is going to do it for this morning's roundup. It seemed like a lot today, right? We still had obviously some fallout from the semifinal and some of the comments, because of course the press are going to squeeze everything they can. A little bit of team news. So, and then obviously we're always going to be linked with players. So whether or not any of that has any substance is up for debate. We're always linked. So, but it was good little roundup today. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new and checking it out and you like what you see. And don't forget to go check us out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. Let's all pull together for United today. We really need these points. We've got back-to-back home matches starting today against Sheffield and then again on the weekend with Burnley. We need points. We need to get maximum points from our remaining fixtures. We've got some tough ones in there, and then we have that rescheduled fixture that kind of complicates things as well. And then we have a final at the end of next month. So we really need to finish the season strong, and we can play a big part in that. Show support. Let's balance out the criticism and negativity with a bit of positivity if we can, please, and pull together. And wherever you're watching it from today, be safe, have fun, and remember, enjoy the positives. Don't forget that those are there. And I will see you probably this afternoon for match reaction. All right, take it easy. Talk to you.